We can do a few things to check on what I call financial stability. It's very important because if the table is not stable, are we feel safe enough to put new things there? It's a questionable decision, right? Especially if what you are going to put on is a very important thing that is fragile, that you love, you want to care, you must make sure it's stable.
This podcast shares personal stories and professional insights, but it's not a substitute for medical advice or therapy. If you're looking for support, do speak to someone qualified and trained in child development or special needs care. You'll find the full disclaimer on the screen and in the show note.
Welcome to another episode of Adapting Together podcast. My name is Xin Yi, and today together with me, we still have Kevin here in the show. So in the last episode, we talked about the early stage of the diagnosis in terms of there's a lot of uncertainty waiting before everything becomes official. Episode, we are moving more like what the new parents will describe as like a new normal. So this would be a phase where diagnosis has already happened, okay, and therapy become like a daily or weekly commitment. Kids' schedules are full, parents' schedules are full. Money starts to showing up in a very practical way. So this conversation is not about being rich or poor. So it's about like what happened when a family already earning reasonably, but still feeling really stretched or pressured, okay? And especially with the cost of living is getting more expensive.
Pay more, get less.
Correct. Yeah, so this will be the conversation for this episode. So, Kevin, at this stage, like after diagnosis, when therapy has become like a regular life routine, as a parent, what do parents tend to worry about the most when it comes to money?
Financial worry, I think with or without special need children or therapy, I think it exists at every family, right? Either we worry, don't know where to spend, or we rather worry not enough to spend.
I want to have the problem.
It's the two extreme lah. I've seen people who worry they don't save enough, therefore they don't spend, they cannot spend. There are also people who spend too much, they cannot save. So it will always have two extremes. Again, it's like a spectrum. Where do we fall on? It's very individual and depending on family. So when therapy already becomes something in the family life already, it just becomes another commitment that we have to service or pay in order to make sure it will still stay in the life, right? Then the worry will become how to sustain. So it's the same like when we want to, let's say you want to buy a car, you might also be thinking, this installment amount, is it okay for me to pay for the next 3 years, 5 years, or 9 years, for example? It's almost a similar concerns, how to continue. So in that sense, what we can do is we can do a few things to check on what I call financial stability. It's very important because if the table is not stable, are we feel safe enough to put new things there? It's a questionable decision, right? Especially if what you are going to put on is a very important thing that is fragile, that you love, you want to care, you must make sure it's stable. So stability is what I always say is the first thing to check on. So
I like that analogy. If your table is not stable, then it's just like, whether it can sustain. I don't want to have that only for like say the first month.
Correct.
So it can be like an ongoing commitment and I want to ensure that I have enough to. The car analogy is also the right thing. So I think like if the every month commitment that I need to do it, but if there is anything happen to my car, I still
can you send to service? You don't need to change tire. Can you change the tire or just have a branded car but no tire? so we don't want this. Therefore, we want to ensure it's sustainable, and sustainability comes from stability. If you're not stable, how can you continue to travel like that, right? So stability is the first thing I advise people to just check.
Okay, so some families, they might have in the situation where, okay, I'm earning okay now, but I still somehow feel under pressure. So what are some of the early signs that a family monthly cash flow is under pressure? How do I know that whether I
It
am...
begins from our feeling, I think. If you feel like something is not right, there is a valid reason for us to look deeper into that. Because it's from the feeling first. It sounds a bit not scientific, but when it comes to human being, it's not everything can be explained by scientific methods, principle. So if I feel that I can no longer afford something, I feel that I'm in trouble, it's a signal for me to go investigate. So the question is, what do I look for when I investigate, right? Yeah. Now, a few things that is commonly observable is, number one, if my savings stay the same. That means every month I earn, I spend equally. Cannot add on, that's why it stay the same, right? So that's a good sign that your expenses or commitment is there already. Because it's just enough, right? Yeah. Second sign is if your savings not only is not growing, it's decreasing. That's a clearer sign that something is not right.
Means I'm spending, I'm using my savings.
You are taking your savings, okay?
First,
so that's why it's not growing and it's going downhill. Third one is when you have some bills, you are behind. Behind your bills, like your phone bills, 1 month, your electricity bill, 2 months behind, insurance, few months behind. That's a clearer sign our income is no longer sufficient to pay for this. Okay, so now maybe before this I am on track with all my bills, but after adding therapy, some of the bills start to fall behind. So that explains that maybe the therapy cost is taking out the money from some of these places already. That's possibility there. Thirdly, my credit card expenses start to climb also. Fourthly, start to increase. Not only I think everyone use credit card. Yeah. But if you use, you pay, it's fine. But if you use and you cannot pay the full amount, it keeps going up every month, that's also a sign that you are actually needing more than what you earn already. So these are the signals we should investigate. Yeah, there could be more, but I cannot recall that now. But these are the clearer things that cannot escape. The first thing, saving not growing, sometimes you feel, okay, what? Not decreasing, okay, no loss yet, but why it's happening itself is worth talking already. So if these are happening, then also means that possibility the stability is getting worse or becoming vulnerable.
Okay. I have also seen some families in terms of the delegation of duty is very clear. Like, okay, one of the parent will work and earn money and another one will solely take care of the child, right? So what is your perspective in terms of how parents can balance supporting the kid while still keeping that household financially stable?
I think ideally both parents would want to participate in the journey of the child's growth. Now, if let's say one parent, our earning capacity may be different at this point of time. So if let's say at this point of time, one of the spouse earns more and we really need more income, then it may make sense for that spouse to continue to work. If we do need someone to stay at home more of the time, then the other spouse may have to take a break from work if we do need the extra income. But let's say both of us can work, and definitely we will have more income, right? So it will be making the whole situation more relaxed a little bit compared to when it's single income. So when both working, the question that arise will be, if we both working there, what is the logistic arrangement regarding to the child and the keeping the child safe, daycare, all this. So meaning if we both work, the expenses, there will be new expenses, daycare, transportation. So we have to maybe assess whether having both incomes intact with the new expenses, it still makes sense or not. If it makes sense, then, and you are okay, then I think having both working is also good, because when we are working, we able to challenge ourselves intellectually and grow as a person as well, compared to stay at home and only do the house chores and take care of the child. And when the child has tantrum, maybe the person has a lot of stress also and the caretaker. So being away from the child at times may be beneficial as well. So having our own work may be good, but at the end of the day, if it's a mathematical situation, it's very easy, just calculate a number. But unfortunately, it's not. It sounds like a money problem, but actually a lot of time it's about how we feel and how we think as a unit, the husband and wife and the family.
These days, with the cost of living, including like food, transport, and bills, right? They are going up, okay, in these years. So how does this rising everyday living cost will affect family who already have a therapy going on, or how can they deal with this rising prices everywhere?
Everything is becoming more expensive, including therapy costs. But it's something you cannot escape, because therapists also need to maintain their cost of living, because things more expensive. Then if therapy don't get increment, how can they sustain their own standard of living? And if they cannot focus, then how do they support my child? So it's a normal thing that will happen. Every industry will have the adjustment in pricing, right? So now the fact is we have to accept and acknowledge cost of living will always go up, no matter we like it or not. Which means with or without therapy, my cost of living will go up, right? And if my income stay the same, then my cost of living go up. It will always be about how do I find the room to pay for what matters more to me. So I think that will come back to what is more important to us. And therefore, to cope with cost of living, one of the things we don't usually ask ourselves is, where do I spend my money on? Okay, if we don't know where we spend our income to, then we will just be trying to catch up. With anything increase, we pay more. So eventually it will lead to the financial trouble that I explained earlier. So it will be helpful if we can trace back where we usually spend. So from there, maybe you will see that, I spend about 30% of my take-home pay to all the loans I have to pay. So I spend about 10% on insurance or Takafu contribution. The rest I spend on spending. Is it okay? I spend 30% on loan, 10% on protection, insurance or Takafu. The rest I spend. Okay or not? That means 60%.
You spend all on the
60%.
I think not okay lah for me.
Why ne?
Because I need to have emergency fund also.
Assuming have already leh?
Or assuming have already. I still want to save. Looking at.
So actually, if we think about it, there's only a few ways or few things our money can be sent to. Number one is you pay for your loans, okay, or your tax, so it's called obligation. Second way is you grow, that means you save and you invest. Two. Third is you share or you give, meaning you take care of people. If you give allowance lah, you buy present, donation, share. The last one is you spend. Where else? No more already, right? Obligation, and then grow, saving, investment. You share with people and you spend. Otherwise, we break the spend into protection, only 4 or 5 areas. No other place we can use the money already, right? So now, rising cost of living, new therapy cost, whatever we add up, we can only ask ourselves, if the money continue to go in this number or percentage to this area, is it what I want or not? So if I spend a lot on, I don't save, I spend everything on spending. So now the question is, can I call back some money from spending to
put into the other
to a different place? Correct. So it's how we examine, and this is where we get awareness. Maybe someone will realize I spend half of my income on loans. So you over borrow already. So how do we attack that? So that this awareness gives you the next step. So when we are pressured because of cost of living, most of the thing will increase, could be our spending, and then our contribution charity. If we want to keep up the same level, then it will increase also. The other side may stay the same, because loan may stay the same. Unless your loan interest rate go up, then you pay more. So it will always be here. But this is looking at, we are trying to fit our body into the shirt. So if the shirt is shrinking, right? No, if the body is growing, then buy a bigger shirt lor. Increase your income. That's why I cannot thin down, because I always buy a bigger shirt. So we always think about, cost of living go up. Of course we are stressed, but we can also use this as a motivation to ask ourselves, how can I increase my income? Because if you try to cut, no, there's a limit of how much you can cut. But increasing income is a better weapon to fight rising cost of living.
Okay, yeah. How do you keep track though? Do you have any very practical ways to help parents out there to keep track the just now when you say the four different categories?
Actually, there is no real need to track because it'd be very difficult to track every day, every month. But it still makes sense to track, so it's a bit confusing. Let me explain. Now, how we spend money most likely is quite similar one. Last month, where you spend, how you spend, most likely 3 months from now, quite similar, or especially the next month is quite similar one. Our spending behavior don't change drastically overnight. So what we do is, if today you are not sure where you are spending or putting your money at, you track now, it makes sense because you want the awareness. So, but do you have to track every day? Not necessary. You can just track like 2 weeks or just 1 month, okay already. Because that 2 weeks, if you live like that, most likely the next 2 weeks is similar one. So you will just times 2, you have an idea. We want awareness only. If you track 1 month, you have a better idea. Then if you track 2 months, very good. Then maybe 3rd month you can stop tracking already because more or less you will be that level one. Only some fluctuation only. So once you track that already, you have the awareness, then you can start to ask where need to move, what need to change. Then you change. From there, a little bit more systematic. But recently, I also discovered one digital bank where if we pay money using the debit card or scan QR with that bank, it automatically helps us to track where we spend, and it will label for you whether it's food, whether it's education, automatically, without us having to do anything. So that means if I just look at it, I will know average every month I spend 4,000 on food. It's very easy and helpful. So that could be one tools that can be considered.
Okay, for some families, the cost don't start from zero, meaning like after the diagnosis, this is also another cost that is on top of their existing commitment or existing debt. So how does this existing debt would affect families who are already managing regular therapy costs?
That will have a few possibility. If the existing debt is already quite a lot of the net income, then the room to maneuver or the flexibility will be less, because that will be something we must pay. Otherwise, the consequences will happen very real, very quickly. So we have to understand what is the level of debt in the taking up the take-home income. Do a check first. So how to do that is we take all the loan installment, divide by our take-home income. Ideally, you don't want it to be more than 35%. But if it's too high from there, then we find out what are the debt you have. Some debt we cannot do, there's very little thing we can do. For let's say house loan, car loan, there's not many things to do. But if it comes from installment, credit card, then there might be ways to bring them lower, but at a cost, of course. So we have to understand what is the kind of debt and how much it takes up. If it's not a lot, let's say it's just 45%, then also understand what costs it, and then whether there are some that we can actually speed up the repayment so that it will disappear faster. Then we will have the room created when it's paid off. Yeah.
I have also heard about traditional budgeting versus like a more flexible or realistic approach when coming to budgeting, looking in the whole context. So can you also share with our audience, how does like a traditional budgeting look like?
Most of the time when we say traditional budget, it's just like if I ask you what do you think, what comes to your mind when I say budget, what comes to your mind?
There's a fixed amount you can spend in this particular maybe activity or period, or
So fixed amount, fixed period, that means it sounds a little bit restrictive to you.
I think so. So we cannot go over the budget.
Correct.
So,
So many times people think of budget, they think it's control, it's restrictive, means I cannot spend more than this, or I cannot spend, or I have to cut back my spending and control. So when we don't have control, we feel it doesn't work. Agree or not? Because it challenges what we expect. But in real life, right, can we really have control on how we spend on what we need to spend on? We don't really have control on. Events can just happen. Like therapy is something I cannot control. I have never anticipated that as well. My car battery can rust out. Also, I can never anticipate it. So when we equal it to control, it's very easy for us to give up because it's not realistic to expect control. And we think it also means don't spend or cut back or not over the limit. So it doesn't feel good at all to even do it. Therefore, most people will not do it. But actually, budgeting is simply setting intention where we want to spend and where we want our money to go to. So it's really for us to have fun thinking where you want to send your money to. So I don't call budgeting, I call it a spending plan. It's a plan to spend money. Okay? So when I do my spending plan, we have to start from how much we actually earn for this period. So let's say it's a month. If this month I earn this amount, then I ask myself, how do I use up this money during this whole month? So it will cover the few things I mentioned earlier, saving, obligation, spending, or even sharing. So ask myself, how do I want to slice the money? So loan fixed already, so we know now it's cent. Utilities all fixed already, so I pay. So I have some balance. This is where I start to ask myself, this balance, spend and where? That can add value to my life, that can enhance my happiness level, that also maybe makes me feel safe and less stressed. So therapy is something I must make sure happen and paid for. So I will allocate this as a fixed expenses.
The obligation one.
Yeah, so the obligation cannot run away one.
Okay.
And then if I still want to do charity, maybe I still feel good, but I can also ask myself, can I only do charity through monetary contribution? If I want to have more money for other things, then maybe I can do charity with my energy by contributing other things. So if I still want to contribute money, maybe I can set like 2%, 5%, then I just follow that. Now, the balance, right, is for me to ask myself where I want to spend. Now, if I want to spend on a lot of things that is cost a lot and is more than what I have, then definitely it's very challenging to do that. So we need to find ways to allow everything to happen as we can. So maybe I can share how I try one thing that I always share with people. You know I like to eat, so it's food related. On average, we spend about 200 for every eating out on average. And we used to eat out every day, every week. That means 7 times a week.
Okay.
For dinner. So that means it's 1,004 a week. So if you look at 200, 1,004, it's not a lot. But once I put this into a table at times 52 weeks, it becomes 67,000 plus. Then to me, wow, a lot of therapy. Okay, so I ask myself, if this money is reduced, what is the amount that is cut, right? Where can I put it to and what it means to me? So if it can mean more therapy, better happiness, then why not do it? So we experiment. If we buy grocery about once a week, cost less than 280 or 300 average. And then weekend, we still go eat 2 days outside.
Yeah.
Same amount. It will bring down from 67,000, I think, to 34, like that.
So much.
A lot of difference.
Oh.
So the savings amount, potential savings amount, I remember very vividly, about 2,880 ringgit a month. 30,000 plus. A lot of money.
Yes.
A lot of money. So this is the maximum I can get if everything goes according to my plan. But I know that it won't go like that one. So I'm ready to have less. So now we try. If I don't have 2,800 saved, if I have half of it, I also happy. Half of it is enough to pay for one more home therapy for 4 hours a week already. Happy ma? So we try. So we try already. Now, budgeting means fixed, but actually it's not. To do spending plan like this, right, it means you anticipate got change, right? So we expect we cannot cook every day one. We can go market every week, but we cannot cook every day one.
Some days you need to eat
We
outside.
accept this. So when it's raining, we
Yeah.
cook for sure. But if it's not raining, today suddenly very tired, very stressed, or
Same.
yesterday worked very hard.
Yeah.
Then today I will say, long time never eat that. Let's go. No traffic jam, we will go. We still go because we know that by cooking more meals at home than originally no meal at home, it already give me buffer to do other things already. So we also try buy frozen food. We also try catering, all almost within the less than the eating out all day budget one. So when that comes, right, if I don't save 30 over thousand extra in that year, I have half, I'm very happy already. It improved my standard of living, it lowered my stress, it also ensure the therapy money is there.
Okay, so you're also saying adjusting. I hear a lot of this is adjusting, adjusting what you have also. And also I'm hearing like adjusting without feeling any guilty. Without feeling guilty. I'm sure like for some parents out there, they might also see adjustment differently, like how you see it. It could be last time I could maintain this level, but right now I might need to adjust my expectation to fit in that. So how would you advise parents who might see that adjustment, say like as a failure?
There's no thing such as failure or success. It's like what are the necessary things at this moment that we can do. So we just do based on our trust that it's the right thing to do, then we do it. If you do something you don't feel is right, then no matter how much money you have in the pocket, it still won't sit right one. So I think having the awareness is very important, and knowing what's important is very crucial as well.
Yep. All right, we are coming to the end of the podcast today. Thank you, Kevin, for sharing with us a lot on the, what's the word? The spending plan. Yeah, spending plan. What would you want the parents, our audience, to remember when they feel overwhelmed related to financial?
I think financial problem exists because of the meaning we give to every event. If I don't have enough money, I will call it a problem or even a crisis. But every event gives us opportunity to change how we see things, how we do things, how we approach things. So the stress, the fear will be very real, but we have to remind ourselves that we have overcome a lot of challenges in the past, and many problems are traceable back to money. And if we can overcome those things, then why not this one? So it's less difficult. It's a lot easier to say than do. But nonetheless, many people have overcome financial challenges and problems. So we have to find out what is the root cause, what is a real issue. Then we will figure out the right plan that can overcome the issue. But if we are just worrying and then we never investigate, then we can do anything. It could be right, it could be wrong. And that's waste of energy maybe at the end.
All right, thank you, Kevin, for breaking it down into a very real and also practical ways. So I think many parents who are listening this, they will also recognize the feeling of juggling so many things in your life. But feeling pressured also doesn't mean that you are feeling irresponsible. It's just mean that you are handling a lot at this time. And also we talk about adjusting plans. So I think reprioritizing is a failure. It's just adaptation, which everybody, families with or without special needs child, will do it all the time. And to those parents who are listening, if you think this podcast has helped you, feel free to share it, and also stay tuned to our next podcast. Goodbye.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.